when you watched him in the water, was a part of you saying, my worries are going away now, and I'm free? And were you almost euphoric that he was going to be gone? You felt that way?
Still do.
Welcome back, and thanks for being here. The story I have for you today is one that's likely going to leave you a bit torn at the end. Was the person who ended up being convicted really responsible for what happened? Or was it just human error and misjudgment? Vincent Alexander Viafore was born on August 22, 1968, in Bronxville. In 1970, his family relocated to Dutchess County and settled in Wappingers Falls. Vincent attended Roy C. Ketchum High School, where he was on the wrestling team. He graduated in 1986 and later continued his studies at Dutchess Community College. Vincent was employed for over 20 years with the NYS Office of General Services Design and Construction Department as a certified code enforcement official and a senior project manager. He was additionally an avid cook and was known for his amazing smoked barbecue ribs. He loved the Hudson River Valley and enjoyed running the walkway surrounding it on a regular basis. He also enjoyed participating in various billiards and volleyball leagues. Vincent especially loved spending time with his family and friends, and he had a very close relationship with his nephew Michael. Additionally, Vincent was known to be very generous, and he was a fun-loving guy who liked to dance and party. In 2013, Vincent met a woman named Angelica Graswald, a native of Latvia. She had come to the United States after she found a job as a nanny in Greenwich, Connecticut. She had been a university student studying English and German, and she hoped to become a teacher or a translator one day. However, she ended up taking some time off and then never went back. When the pair met, they were instantly attracted to one another. Angelica loved how outgoing Vincent was, and their interests overlapped. They liked hiking and shooting pool, and they both had very active social lives. Something else they had in common was that they had both been married twice, as well as divorced twice, prior to meeting. After dating for about a year, Vincent and Angelica got engaged in February of 2014. The proposal was completely spontaneous, and it had happened at a hibachi steakhouse. Vincent had given Angelica a slice of onion from the grill as an engagement ring. It was love at first sight. Vincent was always talking about marrying Angelica as well as having children, which was something he had never done before. At the time of this story, they lived together in Poughkeepsie, New York, and were planning on getting married on a beach in 2015 on the Baltic Sea in Angelica's home country of Latvia. On the night of April 18, 2015, Angelica and Vincent went out for some drinks with friends. As it got later, Vincent wanted to stay and have more drinks, as he hadn't hung out with his friends in a few weeks, but Angelica wanted to go home. She had actually been really quiet that evening, not talking much to anyone. So the couple ended up going home, much before Vincent would have liked to. But they didn't want to be hungover for the next day, as they had an outing planned. When the couple got back home from their night out with friends, they had a fight, fueled by the fact that they had both been drinking. However, they had made up that night before going to bed. The next day, Sunday, April 19th, both Vincent and Angelica were a bit hungover, but decided to stick to their plans of going kayaking that afternoon. Year after year, kayaking on the Hudson River was somewhat of a spring ritual for the couple. While the days were warming, the water was still very cold at 48 degrees. The forecast was also calling for rain and winds of up to 15 miles an hour. Not the best conditions for kayaking, but they were determined and went regardless. Their plan for this trip was to head to Polypal Island in the middle of the Hudson and see its Bannerman Castle ruins. Once there, Angelica planned on changing into something sexy so she could take some pictures for Vincent, in an attempt to please him. It also might have been an attempt to make him want to go on the trip. Before they left, Angelica said that Vincent had actually packed up all their things, and while he had packed her life vest, he had forgotten to pack his own. That afternoon, just after 4 p.m., Angelica and Vincent launched their kayaks into the Hudson River. They brought some beers with them as well, a few Modelo's each. And when they arrived on the island, they did some exploring and took some photos of Angelica in her sexy lingerie. And at 7 p.m., since it was getting so cold and windy, they decided to head back. At first, Angelica said that Vincent was enjoying the rough water and playing around. He told her he was having a great time on their adventure. Now, Angelica knew that her fiancé Vincent's kayak was missing its drain plug, which is supposed to cover up a small hole in the kayak. And while his kayak had worked fine without it on the way out to the island, now that the waves were getting stronger, they were at 3 to 4 foot swells at this point, Angelica was a little bit worried about him. Also, an important piece of information is that this drain plug is actually located on the top of the kayak, not on the bottom, and it's very small, maybe only the size of a nickel. Additionally, there was a ring that was missing from Vincent's paddle at the time. And as they were paddling back to land, suddenly, Vincent was in the cold water, holding his seat cushion that floats, his kayak, and his bag. Angelica grabbed his paddle, hooked it onto her kayak, and tried to reach him. But the waves were pulling Angelica further and further away from her fiancé, and there was nothing she could do to reach him. Frantically, she called 911, telling them that Vincent was floating further and further away due to the wind and waves, and she feared he would drown. The 911 call came over at 7:30 p.m., and in it you can hear Angelica yelling to Vincent, "Hold on, baby."
Tell me exactly what happened.
We are kayaking. My fiancé flipped over. He's in the water right now.
Does he have a life vest on?
Yeah, he has something that he's holding on to, but it's getting very bad. I don't see him anymore.
All right, Angelica. Angelica, can you hear me? Angelica, are you still with me? Okay, Angelica, can you hear me? Angelica. And can you hear me? Hi, can you hear me now?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I don't see him anymore.
Okay, did he have, okay. All right, we've got help on the way, okay? Did he have a life jacket on when he flipped over?
He had a little, like a floating thing. He didn't have a vest.
It wasn't a vest, but he had something to hold. He was something that helped him float.
But I don't see him. Oh my God.
Can you make your way over towards the Cornwall Yacht Club where you see all the lights?
Yes.
Yeah, start paddling over towards that way, okay?
I'm not worried about myself. I'm worried about him.
No, I understand.
Okay, I'm going to put you down a little bit.
Yeah, that's fine. Put me down. Just keep the phone on.
I see the boat.
You see the boat now. Good.
Yes.
All right. Well, you can put the phone down. Just keep it open. Don't hang up on me, okay?
Okay.
In the minutes and hours following this 911 call, Angelica's every move would be closely scrutinized. When rescuers arrived, the sun was setting and the river was turning dark. While they were able to rescue Angelica and bring her back to shore, they were unable to find anyone else in the water. For days on end, the scenic river where Vincent loved to fish and kayak teemed with rescue boats and helicopters looking for his body. But in the days following Vincent's disappearance and likely death, Angelica seemed rather unaffected. Angelica oddly posted a video of herself doing cartwheels on Facebook. She also posted an old photo of her in a kayak during some bad weather, and she posted a video of her singing Hotel California at a bar. She would later say that this is just how she dealt with things, and Russian women were meant to be strong and never show weakness. 10 days after her fiancé had gone missing, Angelica returned back to Bannerman's Island with some flowers. And police were there too, not to comfort Angelica, but instead to confront her.
She throws up her hands and she says, "I'm free." And we're like looking at each other like, doesn't this girl get it? She just pretty much confessed to murder. How free can you be?
Angelica and her defense attorney, however, deny this. She was then brought down to the police station, and during her questioning, Angelica would tell authorities that her and Vincent had recently been having problems. She said he would often pressure her for sexual things that she was uncomfortable with, like having a threesome, and this, she told police, made her angry. Angelica additionally admitted that she sometimes felt trapped in the relationship, and said that she wanted to be free of Vincent sometimes. However, these were not her actual words. She merely agreed to many of the things that the detective suggested. I'll play the interrogation tape for you now.
All right?
Yeah.
All right. How you doing?
Cold.
Cold? You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you in a court of law. You watched him drown. I know it's difficult. I know
No, I
that these are
didn't
questions.
just watch him drown. I tried to do something about it.
How did you really want to save him?
Yeah. Somehow. If he did not say call 911, I would have paddled the out of myself and got to him somehow.
That's a little different from when you told me earlier, though. Why? Why do you keep changing what you're saying? You're confusing me.
I'm sorry.
And that's an issue for me.
Around 5, we get to the island. Around 7, his line, the text bar, and didn't contact with her. 7:04, I send her a message. We're heading out. He's in front of me.
How long before you guys went on your kayaking trip did you take that ring? Was it the same day?
I didn't take the ring.
Killed him.
And
Cigarette? Matches? Ashtray, okay?
At times, when she's alone in the interrogation room, unaware there's a camera rolling, Angelica loosens up with yoga. Even a little hopscotch.
And he had a life insurance policy.
yeah,
And you were on it?
yeah.
He always wanted sex, and
Yeah.
you would do sexual things?
Well, yeah.
Okay,
He wanted threesomes, porno, everything.
okay.
And I was not ready.
Did it upset you that
Yeah.
he sort of switched, that he did not want to marry you?
Yeah, of course. Who proposes to somebody and then changes their mind?
When you watched him in the water, was a part of you saying, my worries are going away now, and I'm free? And were you almost
Before?
euphoric that he was going to be gone?
I was.
You felt that way?
Still do.
What did you want them to think?
That I was trying to save him. That I was doing everything I could to save him.
What are your feelings and emotions knowing that this is about to happen? That when you're going...
I'm, like, ripping in two halves. You know, angels and demons.
What's the demon side saying?
The demon side. Oh, it's not a good side. You guys don't want to see that side of me. That side was telling me, just make it like, let it happen. Just let it go. But the good side was like, safe, we can do it, you're strong.
Why the demon side went out?
No, because of the way he was treating me.
They also asked her if taking the plug out of Vincent's kayak was a way to get back at him, to which she also said yes. She, however, would say at one point that she did not want him gone. Angelica would later clarify this, saying that she meant she wanted out of the relationship, but by no means wanted him dead. However, along with anger, Angelica's other likely motive was money. She stood to gain nearly $500,000 from his 2 life insurance policies. Angelica also told police that she had actually taken the plug out of Vincent's kayak months prior, when she had used it as a cat toy. So it was not something that she had intentionally thought of right before their trip. But after hours of interrogation, Angelica finally tells investigators that she took the plug out in April, the same month that they had gone kayaking. Angelica's entire interrogation would last for 11 hours, and her attorney said that the only reason she would end up making a statement saying that she had killed Vincent was because she had been coerced into making a false confession.
You killed Vinny. Right? No, I'm asking you the question, and I want to hear it. I want you to tell me the truth.
I am telling you the truth.
And what is the answer to that question?
I didn't want him.
Angelica, what is the true answer to that question?
All right, you need a statement.
What is it?
I wanted him dead, and now he's gone. And I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it.
After making her confession, whether it was true or not, Angelica was charged with Vincent's murder, and she was held on a $9 million bond, as they considered her to be a serious flight risk. Then, on Saturday, May 23, 2015, Vincent's body was finally found and pulled from the water. He was found by a boater about a mile downstream from Bannerman's Island. His mother, Vincent Viafore, said, "I was both sad and happy. Sad that there was no hope, and happy that we at least found him and could bring him home." After his body was found, Angelica was officially indicted with second-degree murder and second-degree manslaughter. She pled not guilty to both of her charges. Now, Angelica Graswald's defense team was hoping that once the autopsy results came back for Vincent, the charges against their client would be dropped. But just weeks later, the medical examiner would determine that Vincent had died from drowning, and he had a blood alcohol content of 0.06, which is low, however, still considered to be impaired. And Vincent's manner of death was ruled a homicide, the medical examiner noting that the drain plug had been intentionally removed. Prosecutors insisted that in calm water, never mind in the 3 to 4 foot waves, the kayak's drain plug could let in enough water for it to sink. They also claimed that it would have been extremely difficult for Vincent to paddle his kayak with the ring that was missing.
So here's the plug.
However, 48 Hours did an experiment with an experienced kayaker. This kayaker paddled from Bannerman's Island to the spot where Angelica and Vincent had launched, which was about a mile away, with the drain plug open. During this experiment, hardly any water entered the kayak through the drain plug. And since they couldn't recreate the exact conditions of the water and weather that day, 48 Hours strapped the kayak to the back of a boat without the plug in, and then created artificial waves. Less than an ounce of water got into the kayak via the drain plug in both circumstances. And as far as the ring on the paddle was concerned, the professional kayaker on 48 Hours said that this would not have been necessary for him to have paddled. So instead of water going in through the drain plug, it was theorized that the water had actually gone in through the cockpit, which had made the kayak sink. The waves were so big that it was highly likely that the water could have splashed in that way. The drain plug cover covers a hole about 3/4 of an inch to an inch in diameter. The cockpit opening is 22 inches wide and 46 inches long. Both are at the top of the kayak above the waterline. So if the kayak filled with water, it was much more likely to have seeped in through the cockpit. Vincent had also made multiple other poor decisions that night that had put him at much greater risk of drowning than paddling without a ring or drain plug. First, he had no spray skirt to keep the water from coming in through the cockpit. Next, he had no life jacket or any type of immersion protection, since the water was only 48 degrees that night. He also had no idea what he was paddling into and had consumed alcohol. Angelica's defense also said that the kayak that Vincent had been paddling was a cheap box store kayak with no bulkheads or flotation. Very few kayaks actually sink. However, Vincent's Future Beach 124 is one that does. And without a wetsuit or dry suit, Vincent would have experienced cold water shock the instant he went into the water. And within minutes, he would have lost the effectiveness of the use of his arms and legs. In 30 to 60 minutes, he would have lost consciousness. Angelica's defense also said that the first rule of rescue is to not become the victim yourself. No matter what was going through her mind as Vincent struggled on the Hudson that day, Angelica had no skills or training to save him. Not to mention, Vincent was nearly twice her size and may have been panicked. He could have swamped her kayak and killed them both if she had gotten close. An ex-boyfriend of Angelica's would also speak out and say that while he could not imagine her ever murdering someone, she did have a bit of a dark side. He claimed that she had a very bad temper and an anger streak. This boyfriend had witnessed her anger one time after they had broken up. Angelica and the boyfriend had adopted a cat together, and she insisted after their breakup that he give her the cat. So she confronted him in his driveway as he was about to leave. And since he refused to meet her demands, Angelica laid down in the driveway behind his car and told him she would not move until he gave her the cat. And this ex-boyfriend ended up giving in and giving her the cat because he didn't want to run her over. But he could have called the cops too. That's probably what I would have done. A friend of Vincent Viafore, named Sherry Parte, also spoke about Angelica's bad temper. Sherry said that she had witnessed Angelica become very angry and violent when she was drinking, and would smack Vincent on the face. And another friend of Vincent's, Amanda Hoysred, said that Vincent had actually texted her just 2 weeks before the kayaking incident, and had expressed some doubts about his and Angelica's relationship. But then, for some reason, the very next day, he told her that he was going to stay and they were going to work things out. Additionally, Vincent's sister also said she had seen the couple fight many times, and there were multiple sources of friction in their relationship. She also said not only did Angelica have a temper, but Vincent was frustrated that she was not working and he was completely supporting her. According to this sister, he had actually called off the engagement with Angelica, but continued to financially support her and live with her. Before her trial was supposed to start on July 24, 2017, Angelica Graswald tearfully agreed to plead guilty to criminally negligent homicide. She pleaded guilty on the agreement that she was to be sentenced to the maximum state prison sentence for that charge, which was 1 1/3 years to 4 years in state prison. The district attorney had made the decision to downgrade Angelica's charges because he said it would have been very difficult to prove that Angelica had purposely killed her fiancé, Vincent, even though the drain plug had been removed. And Vincent's family did not at all believe that his death was an accident. So when Angelica was given this plea deal, his mother, Marianne, was not very happy about it. She said, 4 years for taking someone's life? No way. My son was a good man, and we miss him very much. And Vincent's sister said, she definitely did something, or else she would have fought it. She took a plea. An innocent person doesn't take a plea. Taking the plea only got her a few months in prison as compared to the 25 years that she was possibly facing if this had gone to trial. So yes, an innocent person would definitely take a plea deal if it's in their best interest and they don't want to sit in jail forever. And with time already served, Angelica Graswald was released from prison just days before Christmas, 2017. Her parole was then completed in 2019, and despite her conviction, Angelica was still entitled to her share of Vincent's life insurance policy. Since her release from prison, Angelica has done numerous interviews, and she has spoken about how much she loved Vincent. She also says that she is not a cold and heartless person and insists that she did try to save her fiancé's life. She also said that Vincent had actually saved her by telling her to call 911, because if she hadn't, there was a possibility she could have drowned as well. And she now blames the euphoria that she spoke of after Vincent's death on a condition called hypomania, a milder form of bipolar disorder that can be brought on by trauma. Since her release, Angelica has also returned to the Hudson River, near where she and Vincent set out on their ill-fated kayak trip. She said she plans to return to Bannerman's Island in the spring with flowers for him. On June 27, 2015, a funeral was held for Vincent Viafore at St. Martin de Porres Church, where the crowd was so big it was standing room only. He was then buried at Calvary Cemetery in Poughkeepsie. So this case is a tough one. I don't think that Angelica purposely killed Vincent at all. I think it was merely an accident, especially given the fact that he had no spray skirt for the cockpit of his kayak, and that opening was a heck of a lot bigger than the small drain plug that Angelica had accidentally left out of his kayak. Thank you to all the patrons of A Wicked World. Now, there's even more of A Wicked World on Patreon. So check it out at patreon.com/awickedworld or use the Patreon app. You'll have access to exclusive videos each month and more. Any support truly helps to make sure the victims never get forgotten and to highlight the shortcomings of society associated with each case. Do you have a suggestion for a case you'd like to see me cover? If so, send me an email at awickedworldtruecrime@gmail.com.